You are listening to the Coffee Sometimes podcast with Ross, Ethan, and Riley.
Yeah.
And we're back with another great show. Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 5 of Unreasonable.
Got a good episode.
Believe it or not, this episode is going to be good.
Got a great episode.
We're going to be talking about Chapter 5 of Unreasonable Hospitality. It was a short one, y'all. It was a short one.
We're gonna wring that content dry, though.
Oh yeah.
We
will say everything that can be said.
And then we're going to talk about, a little bit of branded merchandise and how that can, play itself out in a coffee shop environment.
Heck, maybe we'll get an unbranded merchandise.
Yeah.
Slick tees.
But first, boys, I have a surprise for you.
He said he had a surprise. Did you forget? Because I forgot.
I forgot until this moment.
All right, I have a surprise.
Uh-oh.
Does it hurt?
Oh my gosh. It is. Is it the Moonraker?
Oh, I thought it was a huge lead time.
Moonraker.
Moonraker.
I reached out to Weber Workshops and I said, guys, can you please send this to me earlier so we can talk about it on our podcast? And they said yes, and they did.
Man, it makes you really wonder how their business works.
We skipped the queue,
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry.
So good for us, bad for someone else. However, we think that's pretty cool.
Sorry, Carl from Syracuse.
You'll be getting your Moonraker.
Maybe a week late.
So for those of you who didn't listen before, don't know what it is.
That looks sensitive.
It does seem to be sensitive. It feels premium. I'll give them that. Just feel that.
Please.
For those who didn't listen to the last episode, the Moonraker is a WDT tool that seems to solve a lot of problems of other WDT tools in that it should be faster. So I'm gonna test it out.
Are we not talking about bottomless portafilters?
Correct.
That's why you had that in here.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
But yeah.
I'm just going to hang on to this.
So my first impressions, it seems to be well built, except I'm a little worried about the acupuncture needles down here.
Are they replaceable maybe?
I think they're just standard acupuncture needles, so should be replaceable. I'm sure they're a dime a dozen. So that's probably not a big deal, but I'm just like, you're going to have to replace these every day.
The varying heights are interesting. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
For those listening along, I'm going to now verbally describe this for the next 15 minutes.
Gentle Ross.
Ross.
I'm putting it through the test because it will not be used gently.
Like you did our TV.
Have we ever told the story on live air about how Ross absolutely John Cena'd our TV?
I don't think we have.
Hey, stay tuned to the end of the episode. First, smash like. Second, subscribe. Third, comment below your favorite John Cena era or John Cena movie.
We all know all the eras that John Cena went through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My favorite is when he was on Psych.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. It would be.
His
Ross
psych
is
era.
a psych head.
What if he was just on for like a
psycho.
whole season?
Yeah, he's one of the main character's brothers.
All right, enough playing with it. Let's give it a little testaroozle. So the diagram on their website says that there's like X-rays. Okay, it looks like night vision goggles of how many times you should turn this thing, and it looks like they want you to turn it 10 times. I don't think that's possible for a cafe environment, but let's just see what happens here. Okay, seats pretty nicely. It's kind of just rests there.
It doesn't like lock in.
There's no locking. But this part's heavy. This part is light. So I'm just going to do it as fast as I can.
10. That was 10.
That looks pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't that look good?
Yeah. I mean, it looked a little
Yeah.
raised towards the front, but I think you had it held at an angle.
Yeah,
so
I would
it's
never
just-
actually hold it that way.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, what do you
Yeah.
think I am, a maniac?
To be fair, the espresso grounds already looked very, very non-clumpy.
Oh, that's a good question. Of like, I wonder if we're gonna find that if it like, do you think you could put it in and like mound it up on one side, or is it
Like,
not-
how does it work as a redistribution tool?
Yeah, is it or should it be as like level as possible already?
Crap.
Oh crap! Your new shorts,
These shorts are not new.
your brand new Lululemon shorts.
You are wrong on so many.
Who's got the
levels.
most Lululemon here? That's what I need to know. No,
I have
I've got some socks.
yeah, we scored our socks.
I have some shorts and a gym bag. No, my gym bag isn't Lululemon. What am I even saying?
I don't know.
It's Russell
It's starter.
Russell Athletics.
starter.
Man, okay. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this
Should I just do it like that?
applies in the cafe context.
Yeah, so it looks like pretty. It's a little more all over the place right now.
This would channel if it was just tamped, probably.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, here's a good question though. There's only one right now. Who's getting it? Alfredo? Dunwoody?
Definitely Dunwoody.
Yeah, fine.
Sorry,
Oh.
Alpharetta. Okay. That's pretty good.
It's interesting. I feel like it always kind of creates a little bit of a wall on the sides.
There's a
Always,
ridge.
as in the 2 times I've seen it.
100%.
Yeah,
of the
100%
time.
of the time I've seen it.
I wonder if it has anything to do with this being a ridged basket.
I don't know. You just hate ridged baskets, don't you?
I do. That's nice.
Yeah, it looks good.
So,
We'll have to do some A/B.
so far, definitely faster than any other WDT tool ever.
Hello. Yeah, that really isn't that much time, especially considering it. Like, I feel like grinders themselves are just getting faster.
Yeah.
So if you're really counting seconds, you can dedicate more time to the
Puck prep.
puck prep.
That's what they call it. Yeah, this is interesting, and just tools like this are interesting. It's interesting how people, I think a lot of people these days consider, like, take into account that you can make better coffee at home than you can get at a cafe. Isn't that an interesting theory?
That's kind of our whole conversation with pour overs, right? It was like, yeah, you should make a better pour over at home than ordering one at a cafe, probably, with all the latest
The
gear.
new grinders out there.
Yeah.
But now a lot of people are, think that for espresso as well. Because there are some more affordable espresso machines. And then obviously you have the people that will just drop the money on a Linea Mini or Micra or GS3.
A rocket.
But then they do all this crazy puck prep.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen a lot of people are putting paper filters in the bottom of their pour filters or on top after they tamp. And then they'll pull the shot over this like ball that you put in the freezer. And so
Wouldn't that shock the espresso?
so I think that's been debunked. Debunked. And it basically, I mean, the science behind it is that it prevents flavors from escaping as fumes.
Oh, wow. Locks in the aromatics.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Holy crap.
the guy inside of me, Riley, who wants to see our coffee only ever get better,
Yeah.
is like, how does a cafe implement that stuff? This is a great example of a way we can implement it.
A not great way, it would be buying a standing freezer to hold all of our rocks.
But at the same time, maybe it is. If we were pulling the kombucha process on single origin espresso, it's like, how can you make that example of a coffee where it's not just your day-to-day daily driver free throw espresso? How can you make that experience even better for a guest, especially since it doesn't come along that often? Like I sent you guys a message about this yesterday with our single origin shots. Like, I think the default for us is like, okay, let's just make the yield like the same volumetrically as free throw, and then we'll just, mess around with the dose. But at the same time, it's like, I think a lot of you out there can relate. You don't sell that many single origin espressos. So when you do, making it that much more of a special experience, maybe you do have one of those frozen rocks.
And I mean, just from a marketing standpoint too, and just guest appeal, it's like, oh, I'm getting something very specific, very niche.
If you throw that up on your Instagram, you probably sell a couple more of them too.
Yeah, hey, we're using the rocks, guys.
Like the rock.
And they're all called Dwayne.
You know what is exciting about that for me?
What, Ross?
Is higher extraction percentages at a higher yield. Specifically with single origin espresso, because that is one of the great things about EK43 espresso is that you're pulling these bigger shots because the grind quality is it's so consistent and uniform that it doesn't over extract. And that this right here, de-clumping is going to take that a step further.
I feel like EK espresso is very prone to clump because you're typically putting into
100%.
Putting into like a cocktail tin and then dumping it into
It's very
something.
clumpy.
Very clumpy.
It doesn't go through the clump crusher that a normal Anthem or espresso grinder would.
Hey, let me just take you guys here for a second. We've been pulling espresso pretty much the same way for like 4 years. Do you think we're going to change our recipe because of this?
I think that it's always a good practice to change your recipe just to see what it's like. I think we haven't done that in some time. I do think our espresso is awesome, but I'm not looking to change the yield necessarily because it's sort of become an accepted product with our market, I would say, to receive a 45-gram shot of espresso. I think if we changed it to a 36 more traditional yield, we actually might be like, people might have their expectations, disappointed.
Valor Coffee always on the journey to make espresso more awesomer.
Yeah, that has legs.
What are you going to say? Because I have something I want to say next. I'm in line.
I was just going to make another comment about this thing specifically. This thing is $250, which is no cheap tool, especially, you can make your own WDT tool at home for pennies. I've seen people will just like get a wine cork and put a bunch of needles in them, and then that's your tool.
Wow.
So would I buy this for home? With my bank account? No, I would not.
With my bank account, yes. For Riley.
What?
Happy birthday, man. Seriously.
Oh my gosh. Would I buy this for a cafe? Yeah, probably.
Apparently,
because I bought 2 of them. So yeah, we did buy this, but thanks to Weber for helping us out, sending it out
Thanks,
a little bit
Web.
early. The Pullman chisel is $150. And I'm just going to say, with this existing, there's no way in hell I would spend my money on that.
No way in.
Yeah, I'll put the explicit E on this one.
yeah.
Yeah, because this thing, I can already see from this, does infinitely more. The chisel is just, I just think it's like a pre-tamper. That's not necessary.
Pullman, hear us out. We do still use your big steps in our
Yeah, we got you. We're keeping you in business,
at some of
Pullman.
our cafes. Yes, we have the Perg Tamp in Dunwoody. Yes, we'll probably get the Perg Tamp when we open new stores. But we still have the big step in Alpharetta.
What's the price point on the Perg Tamp? Is that what it's actually called?
It's like $50.
Yeah.
They get beat up. They look pretty bad.
Ooh.
What looks
Hey.
bad? The base? The top?
The top.
So,
Have you seen the big step?
Absolutely. So it's kind of nice that it's cheap.
Yeah.
yeah.
That it's like chipped and it's starting to lose its dark black color.
I was just gonna ask how long until Puck Press has something where you like lock in you grind the coffee, you lock it into the Puck Press, and it's like
WDT.
no, it's like chisel up move WT up out tamper, and then you're like all right. It's like, hey, lock this in and come back in 3 to 5 business days, and you can pull your shot.
That's funny.
If it could do it within 7 seconds, it would be kind of enticing.
Honestly,
Just like while you're grinding your next shot. as
yeah,
well.
I mean, if you're talking about like scaling quality espresso, yeah, it's pretty enticing.
I'm enticed.
Can I just?
One more thing, one more.
We could talk about this all day, honestly.
Well, we can.
Well, we have
Oh,
a
shit.
lot.
When you guys think about training baristas at the level that we want to train them at?
Like they're all going to competition.
Yeah, that's what I was implying. Yeah,
Just for the other people that are
right.
listening.
Of course. What would you say are the hardest things to train? Like, the whole process has become fairly automated at this point. Like when I was learning how to do everything, we didn't have any volumetric machines. They existed obviously, but I never worked on
Back
one.
in your day.
Yeah, you were still doing levers.
Yeah, manual like brute strength. But like stopping the shot on time was like part of your skill set, and you would forget, if you weren't good. Like the baristas that were less trained.
That's why we called you dead on, man, because you always knew how to stop the shots dead on.
No, that's what
Dio.
I'm saying. Is
Dio, what's up,
didn't.
Dio?
But there was that. I mean, but yeah, what comes to mind for you guys? Like if we were to just hypothetically, like totally hypothetical, like open a drive-through chain, like,
Right.
and we used the same equipment that we use in our cafes.
Oh my gosh.
Like what would you be most worried about in terms of quality with training baristas?
Assuming that these people have excellent soft skills
Yeah,
that we're hiring.
Yeah.
They're big softies.
I mean, you could call it dialing in, but I'm just going to call it palate development.
yeah.
Palate development and latte art. But if it's to go, latte art doesn't really matter, actually, as much.
Yeah.
Steaming, we'll call it steaming milk.
Oh, yeah.
What about you?
Those are my two thoughts. I do feel like I've double backed on like just tamping and shot prep more than I expected. But yeah, dialing in. I feel like there's just this weird hump to get over of like people really sink their teeth into numbers, of like, got to get it back to this number today. I'm like, oh, remember, it doesn't. That's just a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, palate and just like just bar awareness. Order comes in, and then you have this mental priority of like being as efficient and fast and smart with your moves as possible.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bad answer. Sorry,
It's not a bad answer.
I'm having a really off. Sorry, I'm just off today. Just
Yeah.
off.
Well, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about palate development personally. What? Because at that scale, like let's say we were going to open 7 drive-throughs and we had to train people for all those locations, I would just tell them, like, especially in Dunwoody nowadays, we just pull the shots at 24 seconds and it kind of doesn't change throughout the day, and it tastes great.
24 seconds.
And it's like, okay, go finer or coarser to reach 24. And it's okay if you don't understand it fully. I would be concerned a lot with tamping. And I think you kind of mentioned that. But like we pre-prep all of our shots. So will dose and tamp the portafilters and set them aside.
G&B style.
And I always, walk through that area and look at all the pucks and the quality of them. And a lot of times there's cracks around the edges, or the tamper was wet when you tamped and there's these indentions in the puck, or the tamp was uneven. And that has a lot to do with the quality, because you got an immediate channel there. So I didn't really expect that either, but I think tamping would be one of my main concerns, which is why an invention that you were pitching would be kind of nice.
Hey, I mean, I'll just call my manufacturing buddy.
Yeah, call your guy.
I'm going to call my guy. We'll get some protos rolling.
Yeah.
Send him over to Chris Vaca for some VC money. Is that his name?
Saka.
Chris Saka.
There's Chris Baca, Chris Saka. What did you say, Vaca?
Well, maybe I was thinking VC. Can we edit this part out? Okay, Chris Saka. Just switch that out. When I just said Chris Saka, and we'll get some VC money for this.
Have you guys ever had any coffee inventions that you actually thought I would pursue funding for this to bring it to market? I know we talked about...
You're talking about Sproyo right now?
I didn't really hear any inventions come from that necessarily.
What?
It was more
Inventions
of
of the mind.
collective.
Yeah. It's all about community, really.
Intellectual property.
I mean, when Viora lids became more unavailable, I wasn't I didn't make any steps, but I was really thinking about, okay,
We should fill the market hole.
coffee lids suck. What can we do about it?
And they still suck. Let's
They
just
still
be real.
do.
Hey, shout out to Foam Aroma.
It's Foam Aroma. If you're listening, you just
Thank
need
you.
to buy Viora's patent and just start doing that.
Yeah, because you've got a good idea, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
You got a hole for the aroma to come through, and then the part that you drink out of is just kind of a hole.
But you could just have a Viora lid and it'd be
You
perfect.
could have a Viora lid.
We're still holding on to some Viora lids around HQ.
Yeah, they're perfect.
We just can't let them go. At this point, it's if you use a Viora lid, you got to wash it and put it back.
If you're out there and you have Viora lids and they're still making them and we just don't know about it, just let us know.
Yeah. And if you're out there and you've got some VC money and you want to be a part of a business venture with the three of us, revolutionizing, is that a word?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Revolutionizing
not the one to say what his words today.
The-
Revolute toot tootin'.
the coffee lid market, then reach out. Seriously. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I would love that. Fabrication, man, it's just weird stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's why no one does it themselves.
3D printing.
This thing came from Taiwan,
Sure.
It
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I saw the box.
and that just you can't do it yourself.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Any listeners out there that have a coffee invention and they want to bounce it off 3 coffee pros to get some feedback on how it applies in the cafe market, let us know.
Oh, yeah.
Let us know.
They're like, okay, you put this thing in your toilet. When you pee and it smells like coffee, it tells you the extraction percentage of that coffee.
That sounds incredibly valuable. I think people pay a lot of money for that.
Oh, we're having fun. What are you doing?
I was just going to look at our, the Barista Touch Impress. Precisely textures plant-based milks. All right. Whatever, Breville.
Do you guys think
I'm not doing this.
I was thinking of recent coffee innovations. Is it the KB90? Is that the La Marzocco machine?
Yeah.
The straight on?
The straight on portafilter. Do you think there's legs to that, or do you think that was just a little fad?
I think they'll probably eventually have that technology in all of their machines. Yes.
Well, what technology is it? I mean, is it anything beyond just you're putting it in straight?
Yeah, but I think essentially knowing nothing and never using one. A gasket essentially wraps itself around the portafilter and holds it into place instead of having ears.
Really?
Because there's no way it would have ears.
There's
Unless
no
you're
ears?
I don't think so.
Wow.
Which that would maybe reduce channeling
Because it's more of just
because
like,
you have less things to knock around.
well, yeah, it's like using that. That is definitely true. And my comment earlier about puck integrity and tamping, if you're tamping your shots and it looks great, and then you're putting it into the espresso machine, you're locking it in, and you knock it like too hard, it's channeling immediately. It's almost that KB90 idea is using super automatic espresso machine technology, because you've got like the internal workings of a super automatic espresso machine, but there's a manual piece to it.
The portafilter still has ears, it looks like.
Okay.
But which is good as far as like industry standard sizing goes. But I think their entire point was like barista injuries, which is like, sure.
Sounds a little gimmicky to me.
But it seems like if you're not turning something, that might be less of a chance for a channel.
Barista injuries?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like you're hurting your wrist from locking the portafilter in? Mm-hmm. Huh.
Who's saying that?
La Marzocco, allegedly.
That was like one of their marketing messages for the KB90.
Oh, yeah. We had a comment last week, didn't we?
Well, yeah, I was looking in the last 2 weeks. There's a couple worth mentioning. They're all worth mentioning, but do you want me to take you there?
Yeah. One last thing to close us out on the Moonraker. Hate to offer any self-promotion. I'm going to make a video about this, personally.
There you go.
Well, it's Dunwoody, so you have to do it at Dunwoody now.
Linked below.
I will do it at Dunwoody
Thank God.
There you
after hours, and I will make a video about this. And I'm going to test some extraction percentages based on how many times you turn this.
go. How dare you use Dunwoody for a personal venture?
Yeah, I was about to
after
say,
hours.
now it's not the first time.
What did you
someone's-
just say to me?
Who's throwing their first, like, out of the three of us, their first birthday party at Dunwoody?
It's a great space.
It's a great, especially at night.
yeah.
Oh, man.
It was cool.
I just don't see myself having a birthday party for my 27th.
Come on,
Dude, that's old. Yeah, you should, like, go.
Like to the old folks' home.
Your life is basically done.
Go
at this
start
point.
touring some retirement
Dude,
homes.
27. That is, What do you even have ahead of you at this point?
Thankfully, all of our
Diapers.
listeners are like 16 to 19. And not like.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's see. This is 2 weeks ago. It was we've been under extracting the CRAP out of our coffees. This guy was like, through reading that book, one small thing we've started doing in the shop I work at is when you lid the drink. That's a hard sentence. When you lid the drinks, point the spout towards the guest as you pass it to them so they can simply grab it and go without having to fumble around before they leave. It's something so simple that I was bummed I didn't think about it before. He said other things. I'm going to stop there.
He read this book.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Thank you, Caleb.
It's the little things.
That's a great idea.
We should do that.
Done. All right. Hey, I'm going to put out a memo.
You can put it on Basecamp.
I'll put a memo.
Oh, okay.
I need everybody's addresses because this thing's print.
Can I read a comment that you're probably not going to read just really quick? That's really awesome.
Only if it's like really awesome.
It's not a question. It's about everything we know about starting a mobile coffee cart in 2022 episode, which we're going to be updating with a new episode soon.
Our most popular episode.
Stay tuned. It says, "Hi guys, just wanted to share with you that your podcast episode kickstarted our coffee cart journey, and 9 months later, we are officially launched and booking events. So thank you, your friends from North Village."
That's why we do it, boys.
Wow.
Thank you, Marcy.
That is why we do it.
We'll have to send them a congratulations card.
That's a great
A
idea.
congratulations on your cart card.
Yeah, I think they make those.
Congrats on your cart card.
Boom. Wow, what a cool thing.
It's awesome.
Then we have a comment from Travis who says, this is when we were talking about handling bad reviews. Bad reviews. Would it have been worth it for Valor to give the customer that didn't like the style of coffee his money back and also give him a free bag of coffee that is similar to his Kona preference? To that I say, in the moment, I definitely, that idea came into my brain, and then I was like, I think this guy, like, his willingness to come back and try to get a refund for free throw, which is like a pretty modest coffee. I was like, I don't know if workers' comp's gonna get him there. Like that gap of Kona to free throw, I feel like workers' comp is a lot closer to free throw than to Kona.
And let's be clear, it's not Kona that's the problem. It's our understanding of the roast level that he is drinking his coffees at.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because he's drinking second crack coffee, because that's what 90% of Kona coffee is.
And second crack coffee is just very dark coffee.
And we don't do that.
Yeah, first crack only, gang. Hey, stay tuned for another episode where we have Sam actually just explain the roasting process. When we talk about this, it makes more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically what we're saying there is that Kona coffee, what's another one in that?
Jamaica Blue Mountain.
Jamaica Blue Mountain. I feel like he said another one.
Cat poop coffee.
Yeah.
He's like, this is nothing. Like.
Are we just making the claim that like that is all a scam?
I don't think the, region and varietal side is a scam. I personally have never had a full city roast of, Kona coffee.
Does that mean like a roast that we would do?
I just wanted to say full city. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's talking City Plus.
I have never had a third wave coffee from Kona or Jamaica Blue Mountain.
That I don't know. I was gonna say that sounds like right up our alley as far as something we would want to do.
Because we've done it. We've had cat poop coffee, and it was so normal, right?
Right.
Like it's not.
We had to buy the light roast. It was roasted poorly.
Yeah.
Well, scam is a harsh word. It's just like marketing, bloating, I guess, of like the product.
Well, and it all of that is centered around the tropical location side of things. People go there, and it's the same thing. You talk to someone, and it's like, "What's the best coffee I've ever had in my life?" And people say, "I was in Costa Rica." We've talked about this on the podcast before.
Of course.
Ad nauseum.
I was in Costa Rica on a mission trip, and I went here
Short term.
and I had a cup of coffee, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Or the Ethiopia where they roast it in front of you and then make it.
Yeah.
It's
The
just that
reality
fresh.
of it is that coffee was probably not in terms of specialty good.
Absolutely.
It was probably roasted very poorly because that's not what they do in origin countries. They, not saying that doesn't happen, because there's plenty of excellent roasters in lots of origin countries. I'm just saying for the most part, it's probably, especially in a touristy part of town, they're probably roasting that coffee pretty dark because that's what the tourists are expecting to drink anyways. That coffee was great because of the experience, because of the environment that you were in. And so people come back home with that mentality.
Bless you.
And so thus that creates almost a brand around that coffee, which is cool.
It's great.
And honestly, that's something that like Unblended and Felipe Trujillo are trying to do with, actually good coffee, is like attach a brand to farmers and like grow it that way.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's that whole thing of like, I went to Kona and had the best coffee in my life. I'm not annoyed by that whatsoever. It's more of a testament to the importance of experience and how that can change your perception of a product entirely, which is literally what our business is all about, creating a great experience.
Yeah. I mean, our coffee tastes better when it's given to you in a good time frame.
Cafe's clean.
And everybody's nice to you. That's kind of
Yeah.
what we're staking our brand on. But we are trying to lay a quality foundation that the beverage is premium. Hey, yeah, interesting stuff. Anyways, but to answer that question, I did think about it, And I was like, I could, but yeah, I'm not, because I don't think he would like it. And then I wouldn't want him to tell me that he also didn't like another thing I gave him.
Yeah.
And I'm also not trying to turn him into a customer.
Right.
Kind of what we were talking about with Dunwoody opening. I'm like, a lot of people are going to come through, probably not going to like make it their third home. And that's like totally fine.
Yep. Yeah, and in that scenario, you're being outcome driven and not principle driven. Like the principal would just say like, "Oh, well you didn't like our coffee, like goodbye."
Yeah.
But you were just trying to make the most favorable outcome for that scenario based off of the things you prioritize. And you did.
Yeah, I think I just did the perfect thing, so I wouldn't change it. Dang it. No, I'm sure I could have done something better. Always trying to grow.
Yeah, just really be thinking about that. Like, go to sleep thinking about that tonight, Ethan.
Any
I
other
do.
comments?
Nah, I'm not really looking anymore. I'm now just on YouTube.
He's just watching John Boy.
Yeah, just watching my John Boy dude do his thing, review some baseball.
Well, hey, how about this book, huh?
Yeah, this chapter, Pursuing a True Partnership, was the title. And he was talking about, I think the main
Chapter 6. I said chapter 5 earlier.
the main crux of the
It is
chapter.
chapter 5, isn't it?
I think it's chapter 6. I'm sorry that we're interrupting Ross.
It's chapter 6.
It's chapter 6.
Crap. I opened the episode with that.
Oh, it's okay.
If
We're gonna have
you-
to start over.
Yeah, if you've still been listening, just want to make a quick clarification that this is chapter 6.
He's talking about the relationship between the front of house staff and the kitchen staff, right?
Yeah.
And how in some fine dining restaurants during this time period, which he was referencing like the 90s, right? 80s. The renaissance of the fine dining culture in the West, I would suppose. And there was the prioritization and like the pedestal making of the kitchen as opposed to the front of house staff. So it was like, the term chef driven started to be a thing. And he was making the claim that in that time, if there was a restaurant that was chef driven, then the chef would just prioritize the food above everything. And the hospitality and service side would be under that priority of the food. And that's why he's talking about pursuing a true partnership between the two entities, becoming one, functioning team between the two sides, as opposed to like prioritizing one over the other. Any comments on that? That my takeaway was from just a random passing thing he said. But anything that you guys had on like the main point of the chapter?
I mean, I was definitely like, how does this relate to coffee?
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess the closest thing would be like roastery v cafe, and who's making like the mainline decisions. Like I could just imagine a world where maybe the roastery sets all the recipes and says like, hey, make these drinks this way. And that could cause strife between cafe and roastery people.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're favored to not have a lot of issue there, especially because we have a lot of crossover with people working in cafe and roastery.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this, I mean, I was mostly thinking about the thing that I spent time on was just his little first story about getting yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of ends it saying, I never forget how much impact, for good or for bad, a gesture by a leader can have. And I was like, yeah, I gotta sit on that and think on that, because we've had team and coworkers for about 4 years now, and we've probably done things in passing for good or for bad that have left impact.
Yeah.
It's just always a good reminder. you're as a leader, just what you say just has more weight, goes further, for better, for worse. Yeah, it's 4 years of learning that, but definitely a lot there. And I was wondering, I was like, have you guys ever been yelled at work?
No. I've been yelled at a lot in sports, but not really at work.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, I've been very badly led and talked down to, but not yelled at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could go that far either of yelling. Well, yeah, what? Yeah,
There's that one time.
there was that one time.
The thing
Ross yelled at me.
I think a lot of that is just because Valor's kind of been our whole career, basically. The thing that stuck out to me was the process in which he was promoted to general manager of 11 Madison Park, and how he was the guy who promoted him was looking at his traits and character, and it was kind of like he's a little inexperienced, and he was talking too much in the meetings and such, but he had passion. And that's what stuck out to me. Like, people that have passion, like I'll take that all day long over someone who is just doing it for the job or I think passion is hard to come by, especially honestly in an industry that doesn't make a lot of money.
Wow. Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why you see more passion in restaurants and people write books like this is that you can get paid more at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And in the coffee industry, you're selling coffees and pastries. So there's just less money to go around. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I know we talked about that at our last owners meeting, I believe, of just how in our industry, since there's less money going around, you're selling a cheaper product, and there is a certain ceiling to how much money a coffee shop can make, which episode coming on that. What kind of
A lot of episodes coming up, guys. Season 2 is packed.
what kind of talent can you accumulate over the years, and especially long-standing talent? And we seriously have accumulated amazing talent. It's been an incredible blessing. And I think a lot of that is because maybe not even because people are so passionate about coffee, but people are passionate about Valor, and they believe in what we're doing. And that's what we've always believed is hiring people that believe in what we believe in and value what we value, as opposed to people that are just incredibly passionate about coffee. If people are incredibly passionate about coffee and they don't value what we value, we don't hire them. But if people are passionate about coffee, like, we absolutely want them. But our values always come first, because that's what creates a true partnership between us and our employees. But I would love to find ways throughout the years, and that's obviously one of the reasons why we're growing our company, to give people more opportunities that feeds their passion.
For sure.
The big one-liner in the chapter that his dad always said, run toward what you want as opposed to away from what you don't want, really hit. It made me think, not even about like personal career, which is kind of what he was talking about, but how is that applicable with us? A lot of times we talk about our fear of growth, because how could that compromise our values? But it's if what we want is for this company to grow, to create more jobs for people, to expand our mission, then how this is saying we do that, and then we figure out the other things. And I think that that's very possible, and that's a hard path, and that's what his dad is basically saying to him. Is like, he was saying he wants to run Shake Shack, but like, there was a path to get there. And so with us, it's like, okay, if we want blank for our company, but we don't want to compromise our values, like that is the hard path that we're going to have to take to realize that goal.
Absolutely. Let's do it, boys.
Let's run. Let's go run right now.
Let's go sprint.
Run, don't walk.
Yeah. Speaking of the path, I marked the something that his dad said after that or during that conversation. He said, if you want them to be there for you when you need them, then you need to be there for them when they need you.
That's some baller advice.
Yeah, if that didn't follow, he was
Let
saying,
him cook.
Yeah, he was saying let him cook. He's saying Will, the guy, the author, needs to be there for Union Square Hospitality Group when they need him. And that builds trust so that they need him or want them to be there for you when you need them.
Yeah, it's just saying, like, if you want this, if you're trying to attain this goal in a company that's good for you, then it'll probably be hard to get there.
Yeah, but it speaks to, you were talking about passion, and I was thinking like something else that is so admirable is like flexibility and adaptability to like step into seasons of things along that path to get to where you want to go,
I think that has been one of the most evident strengths of the people we've had throughout the years.
Yeah.
Of, being a startup and having big dreams of going places and having plans for people on our team and just saying like, these are our plans, but hey, it might take years.
Yeah.
And you might need to do work to get to where you want to get to that maybe isn't within your skill set or maybe you're not super stoked on.
Yeah.
You may have to order milk for 2 years to be able to, be promoted.
To pour the milk.
To be able to pour the milk. I love that about our team. It's been one of the things that makes me feel the most supported and like believed in when people do that.
Mm-hmm. Fish on, brother.
Good stuff. Short chapter. Hey, tune in next week for chapter 7, which may or may not be longer because we haven't read it yet.
Hey, speak for yourself.
All right, boys. One last topic. We're really in on this one. The Moonraker really sniped us, huh?
Oops.
So a lot of times you look around at cool coffee companies and they have really cool merchandise, right?
Doy.
Right?
Doy.
I'm trying to think of one of the first like examples that I can remember of this. And I would harken back to like going to maybe like Barista Parlor in like 2016.
They had the anchor shirts.
Yeah, well, they just had so many different types of mugs and cups.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And that's like one classification. And then I feel like coming out of that, a few years ago, like I can't remember if it was Go Get 'Em Tiger or G&B. They were just putting out like freaking crossbody bags and like crazy sweatshirts and all this sort of stuff.
Brother Moto too was like an Atlanta staple
for sure.
Merch.
People are still rocking their Brother Moto hats on the daily. And then out of that, I mean, you kind of look at today, and I feel like maybe it's kind of calmed down a touch, but everyone has, every coffee company has fellow tumblers that they're selling, including us. Or you guys got any other examples of random merch?
There's always the trucker hat.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, are just like the classic established in whatever year you were established trucker hat. We have one. I feel like that's a staple.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, it's always changing, especially considering
Tote bag.
Tote bags is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. But you just constantly have new trendy coffee mugs. It's like water bottles as well. It's like how the Stanley Cup rules the world right now.
Which is that came out of left field for me.
Yeah, which is it's fortunate if you're a company like us who can kind of hit it at the right time and get them on the shelves, because then you're gonna have people buying those because they're the in thing. But I just wanted to raise the discussion. I know a lot of you out there are starting coffee companies. Do coffee companies make money on merch?
Because it could be a big expense. That's a line item right there.
For sure.
Do they make money off merch? And also, like, for people starting out, is it beneficial to have it,
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, train's coming. Yeah, man. Where are the hot takes, guys? I mean, I'm kind of weighing all these options. I'm trying to hearken back to when we were starting.
Yeah.
And we had limited resources, because now we have unlimited resources. We can buy whatever we want, like Moonrakers.
Or two.
Two. And we were like, okay, we have, like, we should get some merch. What do we get? I feel like everybody gets a T-shirt. And then
You're
you're
drinking
like,
a Brother Moto mug?
Yeah.
You didn't say something?
I didn't think about it.
it's like from Zion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks, Zion, for the mug. Yeah, we have, like, not a lot of money, but we're like, we're going to buy merch, but we're going to sell it, and we'll get the money back and more. So,
In a long time.
yeah. And then I think every time we've made T-shirts or bought T-shirts, we always have.
Not every time, but pretty close.
Well, hey, yeah, we should tell the times that we don't have them
yeah,
lying
for sure.
around and what we learned. Because I don't know, I feel like we haven't had, like, our classic tee yet. We've put now that we've kind of sat in our latest branding, I feel like we're starting to put some more, like, anchor merch in. Because it seemed like every time we bought T-shirts, it was like a new thing. Do you remember? All right, sorry. Do you remember when we had this idea of, like, active Valor content?
Yes.
Oh,
It was like coffee themed moments of, like, courageous moments in history, like the moon landing. If
If that even
yeah,
happened.
depending on how you view the moon landing. Yeah, what are you guys thinking?
Ooh, what am I thinking?
This is a pretty broad topic. You kind of slice it up, but would we have changed anything about our merch journey?
Yes.
Yeah, same here.
Don't buy the onesies.
I would have changed a lot of things.
Yeah, we'll talk about our biggest flop. Yeah, that's the thing, and all of this is based around MOQs. Okay, that means minimum order quantities, and that's where your big holdup is on all this custom stuff. Because some places don't have MOQs, but if they don't, it's going to be really, really expensive to get a custom good, just in 10 units. And we've had to do that in certain instances for random things here or there. So, you always want to increase the size of your order so that you can drive down your costs. It's classic business 101, people. And we definitely did that up front with some of our shirts. We would just, order 80 shirts. And that was not a good move for us. Because we ordered 80 shirts because we were like, okay, we're going to get these shirts down to $9 a piece, and then we'll be able to sell them for 18 or whatever. Always expecting a lower margin on merch than coffee, obviously. But I think up front, even if we were talking about ordering the same exact pieces that we did, I would have just gone for break even, just so we didn't have inventory sitting around and such a huge expense up front. We should have just ordered 20 shirts and broken even on them, or made $1 a piece or something, and then, like, turned them. Instead, we probably still have some of our first shirts just, like, laying around here somewhere.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thing for somebody starting out is to, one, spend a lot of time making your brand look good. Because that was one of our things, is our brand was bad. Like,
Oops.
we were very, very, use our limited skills to put something together and sweat it out kind of mentality, which is awesome and laudable. But when it comes to merch and branding, I feel that like if you're starting a business, you need to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself the question, am I actually good at branding and visuals? Because if you're not, then you're not going to be able to get good fast enough to like put out some good merch. And maybe you should just pay someone or like get with one of your friends that is good at branding. And it doesn't have to be this like multi-$1,000 rebrand, like huge marketing agency project. You can just have, especially with how popular minimalism is, it's all very simple designs that you can pull off. So I would say if you don't feel that your brand looks good, don't even bother. Just build your brand, build your customer base, and whenever you have the time or you make the time to actually improve your visuals, then go for the merch. And then, because like I just think about like our logo that we designed, that the blue and the pink Valor coffee shirt. It's like that was just a waste of money, man. Like it didn't even accomplish what we wanted it to, which was like to make money. It was like, no, we had a ton sitting left over. And 2, it looked so bad that nobody wanted to wear it. Like nobody's wearing that shirt as like marketing.
I think Joseph Morakovitz might be one of the only people I know that still has that shirt. He's my friend, by the way.
Yeah,
guys.
it's like one of your best friends. Sorry, your best friend. And so
my only friend. Get it right.
Okay, there we go.
So that's my point is don't even bother if you or your significant other or your close trusted friend or your mom tells you that, hey, this doesn't look good. Like just let them cook a little bit and build your brand, build your clout, build your name in the community, and then get somebody to design your stuff. And then still don't worry about like margin. Just focus only on marketing, getting it out there, sell them for cheap, sell your coffees at an expensive price like you should. But like merch, I just feel don't bother with stuff that looks bad. Don't try to get a good margin. Wait till it looks good and then just sell them at $12.
Dude, you bring up a really good point. And you're going to break even on your merch anyways. So you might as well spend that money that you were going to spend on that on a designer to design a good brand for you.
Yeah.
And it's going to feel like it's a huge expense because you're not going to recoup any of that money monetarily or quickly, but you are going to in the long run because your brand's going to look so much better for it. Yep. And we've noticed that with our most recent brand refresh, where we finally came into our own brand that I just don't really have any complaints about. And that kind of brings us in a weird way to like our most successful piece of merchandise is our coffee boxes. Like something we spend a little bit extra money on. It really drives up our cost, but I can't think of a lot of things that have done more for our brand than that.
Absolutely.
Like our wholesale and e-commerce has, in essence, I don't know, by multiple factors increased since that has happened. And I mean, there are obviously other reasons behind that as well, but that's an interesting aside.
Asado.
Yeah. I was just going to show some of our merch that has done well.
Oh, yeah. What a good idea.
So kind of a recent one, these handmade mugs. And it's kind of funny. Mugs always do well.
For real.
And I feel like we never have mugs.
For real.
And so we should just keep more mugs on the shelf. But we had our friend Mark Rockwood make these mugs for us. And they just flew off the shelves. We use them in-house and we sell them and they're great. So that's one that's gone really well. And we have definitely made some money on those. Next is the trucker hat. So we wanted to do this for a long time.
Oh,
And this is a really good example of, which funny enough, I own it and I wear it multiple times a week, but it's not something that I was like super stoked for myself specifically. But just knowing our demographic and knowing that a lot of those people love Valor, it was just like the perfect opportunity to get our brand on someone's head like all day, every day. And I see people out in Alpharetta wearing the hat all the time.
I feel like hats in general have done pretty well. I think about
True.
the
Yeah.
Matt Power VLR hat. Sold really well.
Yeah. Hats definitely have done well. I would say, I mean, obviously this one has done the best.
No doubt.
Like we've reordered this one and are still selling through
Which
them.
is almost a first for us to reorder anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Socks.
Socks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll pull up the picture of the socks. We've definitely done multiple iterations and colors of socks, and those it's a funny thing, and they really aren't very expensive, but I don't know. Why do you guys think socks do well? Is it just accessories?
But our keychains never sold well. That's but so I was gonna say if you're in our position a while ago and we just kept doing t-shirts, I'm like, don't do t-shirts. Do something else. Like if I could have one piece of merch, I think I would buy socks just because it's funny and off the wall. It's just like a little bit of a distinction. And it's a low risk purchase.
Yeah, that was my thought, is like people aren't quite ready to just plaster Valor in huge letters across their chest.
Yeah.
And that is mainly what we've done with our shirts. Like our current white shirt is exactly that. Our crew neck sweatshirts were exactly that. And I think that people are fine with putting a huge Valor logo on the bottom of their feet
Or on the top of their head.
or on their head, but it's not huge.
Yeah.
And I think that those shirts look cool. I think that those crew neck sweatshirts looked cool, objectively design, wise. But,
Dude, it's funny that you say that though, because the crew necks did pretty well.
especially for when they were released. We
Yeah.
released them like
In the spring,
in the spring.
because a lot of the other things around our brand refresh were pushed way back, so those came out late. But those, especially if those would have been released in the winter, those would have flown. So that's an interesting take of like the difference between a t-shirt
And a sweater.
and a sweater.
Yeah. Because my favorite coffee merch item beyond Valor is my Cat and Cloud sweatshirt. That's super soft and it's got a chest marking and then it's got stuff on the back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what's next for us personally. Like for a t-shirt is something minimal on the front and then something maximal on the back.
Maximal.
Maximal.
And then lastly, we've had our ups and downs with tumblers.
For sure.
And
Oh,
to-go
yeah.
mugs.
Those
for
are
sure.
expensive too.
They're super expensive.
High risk.
Yeah, but with these recent ones, especially that red one and the gray one, honestly too, can't really complain. They flew off the shelves, and I think a lot of it was just simple design, bold colors, and kind of hitting a trend. Like
Yeah, I mean the fellow mug is bar none
Yeah.
for sure right now.
it sells itself.
Yeah, if I was starting a coffee company, I was wanting to ask an established coffee company a question, it would be, what percentage of your revenue comes from merch? It's a hard answer to say exactly, but what would you say?
Would you say coffee boxes are included in that number?
No, I think
Branded.
I know we talked about that from a branding perspective, but I think we're talking about like clothing and mugs and
I mean, do you just want me to tell you guys, like
Yes.
last year in the cafe specifically?
yeah.
Okay, I'll pull it up. You guys just chit chat while I pull it up.
Yeah, it's
How's your weekend?
busy.
Good busy?
Good busy. Good busy.
How you doing lately? Oh, good. I'm just really busy.
Oh,
Good
good busy.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Da 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 da.
You know what? Working in, you just let me know when you got it, man. Working in the coffee industry has taught me
Say.
one of my greatest life skills.
Small talk?
Yes, small talk and banter.
What do you got going on today? Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's even beyond just the classic questions that you would ask while you're taking someone's order.
Yeah.
But just talking to people in general that are unlike me
Yeah.
is such an invaluable thing to have.
Oh my gosh.
It's alarming.
Wait, you guess.
Are we talking percentage wise?
Yeah.
Oof. Like 3%.
Ross, you win.
You hit the nail on the head. 3.7, so almost 4%.
So 4.
But yeah, just to give you guys a picture. And hey,
of an established,
Yeah.
decently established brand.
for sure. And that I bet it's. I was about to say I bet it's higher online, but I totally don't. Bet
It's
higher
not,
online.
man. There's no way.
So, anyways, with that, let's relate that to the book and the previous chapter of 95.5. Do 95% of the things that your company does in a really scalable and money smart manner, and then 5% of the things you do. Who cares? And this is kind of taking that into a different context, but with that point being, it's 5%. No, it's 3.7% of our revenue. So who cares if we break even on that 3.7%? Who cares if we lose a little bit of money on one of the things? If it's like a super, super cool thing that's going to like extend our brand out, then great.
Yeah.
So I think that is the big point we're trying to drive across here. Don't expect to make any money on merch, and you'll have a lot better time doing it, and you'll be able to do it in a way more practical way for your company.
The big takeaway I get from that number is don't talk about and worry about merch more than it's worth.
We haven't done a merch drop in a while, and I mean a part of that is because of Dunwoody,
Sure.
But a part of it is also just because if we miss the spring merch drop, sure it might be some amount of like a brand hit that we're not putting out cool content.
Yeah.
But also, we're still selling lavender vanilla lattes.
Yeah, well, it's 3.7% of our gross revenue for the year in the cafe. But that selling merch doesn't make our company 3.7% better. It has an outsized impact. So 3.7% is a very small number, but without merch, our company would be worse off. It has an impact that goes beyond just the dollars.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, in a way, I'm not saying to arrange your P&Ls like this, but consider it as much of a marketing expense and like an advertising and marketing expense as you do like a cost of goods sold expense.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth spending more than 4% of the company's time and money on it? Is kind of what my thought was.
I think because it has an outsized impact, yes. But if you're going to put out crap, then it's not worth it. And I think the majority of people that are starting coffee companies who make merch, the merch it looks bad. It's not worth it.
So you're almost saying get established,
Yeah.
then work towards merch.
Focus on making good coffee and connecting with your guests.
And branding.
And build your brand identity visually and, intangibly speaking.
Yeah, because basically you're using a lot of the money that you're making from selling coffee and putting it towards a t-shirt order.
Yeah.
When you think about the grand scheme of things, let's get enough money to buy 50 t-shirts for like, $800.
Yeah, when you're at that size, it's just
I can't
it's
imagine
very,
it being worth it.
Very silly. And we did that. We did that exactly.
Over and over again.
Oh yeah. And I think it's just because we felt like that's what we had to do because that's what you do. But I think if we would have really thought about it and put down our expectations, then we would have seen clearly that it was not worth it.
Yeah, agreed.
But now I think it is worth it.
Agreed.
And I think that in the future, we will be on top of it more just because we have more margin to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to have some merch coming for the remainder of this year in season 2.
In
season 2 of Valor Coffee.
Of Valor. Wow, this is season 2? Jeez.
This is only season 2?
First season took about
God.
7 years.
Hey, I'm not saying that other bigger companies than us don't make money for merch because they clearly and obviously do.
Absolutely.
Like, the bigger specialty companies, they are because they are at a bigger scale. I'm talking to the average Joe coffee company out there. Hey, to wrap up, we're going to do a new segment. Do you mind if I do a new segment brought to you by Mamitas? Anyways, we're going to do a new segment, and it's going to be a little wholesale partner shout out.
Spotlight.
Nice.
What do you think about that?
I love it.
So this week, we're going to have Profit Coffee.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of good branding from the start.
I was just about to say that.
That's what made me think of it.
I did.
That's what made me think of it.
I said it.
That's what made me think of it. Yeah, they out of the... Okay, how do you know Profit Coffee, Ross?
Who is Profit Coffee?
So Profit Coffee is one of my friends, Bryson, and his wife. And that I know Bryson from working together in music. And he just had some time on his hands and dedicated all of it to this and made something really cool from nothing in a very short period of time, like by himself. His wife helped him as well, but I think she's an artist. Like she's a really, established, I think she paints.
Oh, cool.
And that, to the point of merch and branding, I thought about them as one of the few startups that had incredible visuals from the very, very start. I'm sure Riley has it pulled up there, but it's a coffee van.
Yeah, like right here.
Yeah, it's a coffee van.
You can do that?
That looks super cool. He renovated it. I want to say it was an old USPS situation. I could be wrong. Bryson, I know you listen to this.
He does?
I don't know. I don't know. I was just saying that. But yeah, it's so cool. And I think they knew their strengths, and one of them was visuals. So
yeah, I don't see a piece of merchandise on their Instagram. I see a sticker, and that's it. Which to your point about what you've been saying, all the focus being on an excellent brand. Like, look at that.
Dude, actually, we didn't talk about stickers at all. Stickers fly.
Stickers do fly.
Yeah.
And
Buy
you
some
should
stickers.
buy some stickers.
Super low cost.
You can give them to people, and it's like a moment of delight. People can also buy them for cheap and keep them on your laptop forever. Back to you, Ross.
yeah, Profit Coffee. I wish them much profits. And
They seem to be doing great.
they
Constantly doing something.
Yeah. They, I think they are in the same place 3 or 4 days a week, and then they go to like a distillery on a Saturday or something like that. But yeah, it's in Charleston. If you're in the area, look up Profit, like PROPHET, Profit.
Yeah, their Instagram handle is profit_coffee. Very, very cool brand. Slinging some Valor. What are they working with? What they got on espresso?
I think they changed it up a good bit.
I see him holding a bag of workers' comp and a bag of Umbella in this picture right here, looking so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's a really sweet guy, and he has talked to me about how he loves talking to the guests while he's making the drinks because it's just him sitting down inside this van.
Wow.
And he's got his espresso machine. I think he's got a batch brewer in there too. And I think it's the kind of thing where like somebody places an order and then he makes it, gives it to them, and then the next person walks up. Kind of.
So
vibe.
it's like the whole time. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
just,
nice.
Just yeah. So one thing that I love about Bryson and Prophet is that it's crazy how many people post stories about the van, like going to the van, like it.
Hashtag going to the van.
I don't know if he reposts all of them, but when I go on his story, there's like 5 or 6 reposts of people just capturing this very Instagrammable van. So I really hope that they open a cafe, whether they use our coffee or not, which I think they would. But
Yes.
yeah, but it's great wholesale partner.
Well, that'll do it for today's show, right?
Thank you so much for tuning in. This was the Coffee Sometimes podcast.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you.